Hello and welcome to This Week in Sports for Friday, April 22nd, 2016. I'm Mike McClung, and look who it is. He's back, Evan Olawani. Glad that you're here doing the show today.
Yeah, a lot of sports. I've been doing golf this year for the school team, so I haven't had the chance to come out and do this, but I miss it, and I'm glad to be able to do it today.
And we're happy you're tearing it up out there on the golf course.
I'm doing my best.
We're going to jump right in because it's playoff time. We're going to start with hockey. A lot of good series, a couple not-so-good series, and very exciting so far. You want to start?
I'll start off with the Tampa Bay Lightning series against the Red Wings. Tampa Bay won. That was so physical. I mean, I know hockey's a physical sport, but lately over the years, I saw it kind of progressively get less and less. And then in this series, it was just like punch in the face, and I was like, this is what hockey's about in a sense. Like, kind of brought back old times a little bit, even though I'm only 17 years old. It kind of brought back like old hockey. That was cool to see, even though like good play in there. So that was nice.
Yeah, I think playoff time, that starts to come out more than it does the regular season. You know, regular season, it's a lot of like, oh, we don't want to hurt each other. Playoffs, nobody cares. They just want to win. I want to look at the Capitals series, not because it's a good series or anything, but because I really think they have a chance to make a deep run this year. I know they're the best team, so that's a really cliche, easy pick, but they really proved to me in the playoffs that, like, years prior they've lost it in the playoffs, and I think this year is the year they finally set it aside and said, we're going to be able to do it, and they really blew out the Flyers. And, of course, I got to talk a little bit about my Ducks, coming back from down 2-0 to tie the series 2-2. They got back the home field advantage, so we'll see how it goes with them. But, yeah, I think it's been pretty exciting so far.
Yeah, I'm a Devils fan. And since the Devils never really make the playoffs, I like to jump on the Blackhawks bandwagon. And they were doing good the whole year, and then they lost in the playoffs, and now they got it back. I think it's 3-2 right now. I don't know if you saw Patrick Kane's play yesterday in overtime. He got through two defenders, threw it around the net, and put it in himself. It was an unbelievable goal, and I thought that was amazing. They're still down 3-2, but something to have a shot. Rangers, on the other hand, Lundqvist has been such a disappointment for them. I'm sorry to say that for any Rangers fan, but he gave up 4 goals in 2 periods yesterday, or 1.5 periods yesterday. They pulled him from the game. It was just bad. Penguins are going to win that series, I think. They're already up 3-1.
I think that's going to be a really interesting series to see Penguins-Capitals next round. I think that's going to be a really good one. And Blackhawks are a team that even when they were down 3-1, it just felt like you couldn't count them out because every year they're down a little bit in a series and they end up coming back and winning. So
the Blackhawks are just a great team. They're like we said, a dynasty.
Great playoff team, yeah, absolutely. So from hockey playoffs to NBA playoffs, a little bit different here. A couple of not-so-good series so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I really can't think of a series where the winner is in question at this current moment, to be completely honest with you, which kind of stinks. But why don't we look ahead a little bit then? The Warriors are really good.
The Warriors are just – they're going to win the championship. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to win.
So let's save that for a little bit later then, since we both agree on that. How about in the East with the Cavs? I mean, the Pistons have given the Cavs some good games. I mean, they never were really in danger of taking that whole series, but I do think you got to give your hats off to that team. There might be good coming up in the future. They got a lot of good young players, and I think that was really exciting to watch.
Yeah, but when you have LeBron James on a team, they're going to make it to the finals. They just have to make it to the finals.
It is law.
It is like a principle at this point. So they're going to make it. That's where I stand. But like you said, the Pistons, a shocker team this year. You know, no one really thought of them anything. Even in the playoffs, they were like, oh, they're just going to get blown out. They held their own a little bit. They didn't get blown out by any games, so not bad.
And I like the Hawks actually going against the Celtics right now, and I think if they win, they will get the Cavs because they're that 4 seed. They're the only team in the East that I see even threatening the Cavs. I think the Cavs are going to win it anyway because the Cavs are better than everybody else, but the Raptors don't scare me really. You know, the Celtics aren't going to come back. Even the Heat, they've been playing good against the Hornets, but I really like Atlanta. I think they're a really good team, and maybe a little bit of revenge from last year when they were actually the 1 seed and got knocked out by the Cavs. I'm thinking maybe that could be a really good series, but other than that, I'm not too sure what to look for at this point.
I think the big thing with the Hawks is they got to get Kyle Korver going. He's an amazing shooter. If he can make the threes, I think they'll be in great shape. Al Horford, he's a big body down low. I think they have the pieces, but sometimes they don't put all the pieces together in games, and that's where they fall short. So I think if they can put the pieces together where they need them to be, they'll be good.
And everybody's playing for second place. We talked a little bit about it before. The Warriors. They're going to win the championship.
I mean, I don't care if Curry has 1 ankle, 2 ankles, 3 ankles. They're going to win the championship, no matter if he's hurt, no matter if he's perfectly fine. Okay, they lost by 1 point yesterday off of Draymond Green muffed a ball. I'm not saying he could have won it, but they're the best team.
They're going to win. Yeah. They're the best. And the way I look at it is if they can play that good even without Curry, they split with the Rockets. I mean, I know the Rockets aren't that great, but when Curry comes back, there's not a doubt in my mind they're going to be able to do it. However, everybody's still making the case. What if the Warriors don't win?
Oh, they're going to say the
You know,
Spurs.
is their regular season record tarnished? Because that's a big feat, 73 wins. What do you think about that?
For the players, I think it is. For everyone else, absolutely not. Because in 2-3 years, we're not going to remember, oh, they won the championship. We're going to remember the record. We're going to think that. Yes, we're going to think that the record or they won the championship that year because we're not going to remember it.
That's a lie.
Okay, well then 5-10 years, we're not going to remember that they didn't win the championship that year. We're going to remember the record more so than they won a championship because they won it last year. So I think the championship doesn't really matter right now. I think it.
You're wrong then.
How am I wrong?
You can win as many games in the regular season as you want.
But when you set a record, it's the difference.
They made their goal to set the record in the regular season, and they did. But everybody knows playoffs are more important than that. Let's say somehow the Spurs upset them. The Spurs had a better year than them then. And as far as I'm concerned, the Spurs season is more memorable, and they're a better team then, which isn't going to happen. They're not going to win.
I mean, if there is any team, though, the Spurs had the best chance to beat them.
Yes, but regardless, Steph Curry
is good.
He's better than the Spurs.
Yes, by himself, he's just phenomenal. I mean, there's no question about it.
I don't know. I just still think that if you don't win the championship, then technically the Bulls who won the championship that year have the most wins regular season and playoffs. So
no,
I mean playoff wins don't count.
No, I'm saying
they should be worth more.
What
they should be weighted at like a 5-1 scale as regular season.
Number 1, you're wrong. Number 2, you're wrong. Number 3, you're still wrong, Mike.
Ouch, that hurt.
Let's go on to baseball
Let's
now.
move on to baseball. Thank you for taking my job. I'm sure you're going to love this one. We're going to talk all about the Nationals and Bryce Harper and how they're just absolutely tearing up the National League East and the Mets are not.
Okay, well, first of all, we're like 5 games into the season, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, we're like 15 games into the season. Bryce Harper, he's really good.
MVP.
Strasburg, he came back, and he's pitching phenomenal. They're just a good team. I don't know what to say.
They are a really good team, and I think we talked a little bit about this in the year. Murphy's doing well. I picked him to be an all-star just so we're clear on that. Bryce Harper's proven to me so far that he's the best player in baseball right now. I think he's passed Mike Trout for that honor. He can hit the ball.
But if he didn't hit
it's not even funny.
You think he doesn't get that many base hits? He really hits home runs. So you think if you took away all the home runs, you think he'd still be just as good?
No, because obviously that's part of it. But I think he does get base hits. He's hitting well over 300 this year. He's been absolutely tearing the cover off the ball, and he's had a lot of doubles and extra base hits that aren't home runs as well. I think he's the best hitter by far in baseball, and if you're going to bring it down to defense and all that, he's good enough where I still think he's the best player in baseball right in front of Trout.
He's a strong man. He could beat me in a fight. Okay, he can hit a baseball much further than me. He's better than me.
It's funny, I don't remember asking.
And I just want to say that, listen, the Nationals are a good team, but they always have that one part in the year where they fall apart, whether it's between 1 or 2 week period. They have that one slip, and if the Mets can just stay pace with them, they'll be fine. The Nationals, right now, though, they look like they're going to run away with the NL East.
How you feel about Daniel Murphy right now?
I think the Mets got Neil Walker, and he's replacing for Daniel Murphy's spot better than Daniel Murphy did. But I think what Daniel Murphy's doing for the Nationals is a big part for them. I think he took over Danny Espinosa's spot, who was just batting under
disappointment.
Batting under 250, and he's been really stepping up. He's a big part. He started off the season with a lot of home runs. I don't know if he's still keeping that up, but a lot of big hits for them. And he's a good player. There's no questioning that. He definitely helped them.
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest signings in the free agency, and we didn't really necessarily think that at the time, but he's really proven that what he did in the playoffs last year isn't a fluke. He's continuing to hit the ball. I think that might be the difference in the East this year with the Mets, honestly. Yeah. The Mets have a great team. They have great pitching that hasn't really shown up all that well yet, and I think once Harvey starts to finally figure it out, they will be competitive. I'm not going to say there's going to be a runaway division, but it's going to be a close one. Right now I give the edge to the Nationals, though, for sure. So, and of course, because Evan wanted to put this in, just go ahead, talk about the Mets for 5 minutes, whatever you want to do.
Can you just agree with me that Noah Syndergaard is probably one of the best pitchers in baseball?
Yeah.
He's amazing. His hair is perfect. His form is perfect. He throws a fastball perfect. He's just amazing. Yoenis Cespedes and Lucas Duda are finally starting to hit home runs. Their bullpen is still kind of iffy, but who cares about their bullpen when they can hit 30 home runs in a game? Against the Phillies, they had, I think, 15 home runs in 3 games. That's crazy.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's a lot of home runs.
They've been just hitting a lot of home runs lately, but that's the problem, I think. Once you stop hitting home runs, they can't manufacture runs as easy, and that's going to be their big problem. As long as they can keep hitting home runs, okay, that's great, but to a point, that's going to have to slow down, and that's where I think the Mets are really going to fall short this year. If they can't string together base hits, And I think for any baseball team, that's a big issue.
Of course, and this is a little bit of a late addition, but Arrieta last night threw a no-hitter. Real quick, is he the best player best pitcher, in baseball?
He hasn't lost since last year's All-Star break. He's the best pitcher in baseball right now, no doubt in my mind.
I'd have to agree with that. I'd love to argue with you, but I can't. So that's going to be it. We'll end it on that, I guess. That's going to wrap it up for this week in sports. For my friend Evan Olawani making his triumphant return, I'm Mike McClung. Have a fantastic night.
Oh, and I'm the type of guy who will never settle